Good evening, it's meteorologist Michael Fecka. Welcome back to the 9 p.m. all-weather, all-streaming show we do here every night during the workdays and on weekends. We stream it out to all of our streaming platforms as well as to Facebook Live and YouTube Live. So if you are joining us from either of those platforms, please feel free to leave us a question or a comment down below. Hopefully I'll be able to address everything as I go through the forecast, but if not, I'll go through at the very end and see if I can address anything individually for you. So let's get started here with a look at our headlines. What are we keeping track of for the next few days, at least through the weekend and into next week? And it's going to be pretty warm here. We're going to remain above average into next week, and it also looks like we're going to still remain mostly dry out there. There is some chances for some more rain as we get towards next weekend, but at least in terms of the work week, it doesn't really look like we have anything moving through here. So for right now, it's just going to be pretty quiet and warm. Looking at our highs today, we got all the way up into the mid to upper 70s in a few spots. 77 degrees here in Evansville, just to our south. 79 in Bowling Green. A bit cooler to our north up in Fort Wayne. Barely even topped out at around 70 degrees and 69 for their high. But looking at our temperatures now, when the sun sets, especially this time of year, the temperatures cool off very, very quickly. So looking at our temps currently, it is 60 now in Evansville. One of the cooler spots is a 58 there in Henderson, 55 up towards Washington. We'll continue to drop down from the 50s and 60s and likely into the upper 40s to around 50 overnight tonight. Very similar to kind of how we woke up early this morning. And looking at our Doppler radar, we have high pressure still remaining the dominating factor in our forecast here for the next week. So we have it right now anchored off to our north, which is why it's been supplying that cool, refreshing, or fall-like air for the last couple of days. But we've also got an area of low pressure now that's kind of building up and along the southeast coast there. That's also expected to move up into New England, bringing them some wind and rain, technically the first nor'easter of the season for them. Even though it's not really snow, nor'easters can still bring rain. But here in the tri-state, we're not really concerned with any of that. We've also got some active weather off to our west with a lot of shower activity in the mountains as well. But with that high pressure to our north, we really aren't seeing anything moving through the actual tri-state. So at our current Doppler radar look, we are dry, not tracking out any showers. We'll remain mostly clear overnight tonight with temperatures dropping down again into the upper 40s to right around 50 degrees. And I do think there could be the possibility of maybe some patchy areas of fog, mainly along any creek, streams, or rivers, or any body of water. Typically this time of year, that's where the water holds on to the heat a little bit more, but the air cools off more than the water. So then you get that combination and you end up with some fog in some places. But with the sun rising, that fog should dissipate very quickly through early tomorrow morning, and we'll warm right back up kind of where we got to earlier today, back into the mid to upper 70s for our highs. So looking at our rain and storm chances, though, I know we're talking about some drier weather here for the next several days, but we do have some chances for rain once we get into next weekend, which is good news because looking at our drought monitor, this was updated just this past Thursday, we have had good improvements. So if you remember, much of western Kentucky and pretty much all of the tri-state was included in at least moderate drought. But there was some severe drought across western Kentucky and in southern Illinois. A lot of that, at least through western Kentucky, has backed off, and they're not even experiencing any abnormally dry conditions through a few counties. But for the most part, the rain we got over the last few weeks, granted it hasn't really been consistent, but the rain we've gotten has been at least enough, and it hasn't fallen too fast to where we've seen a lot of it just run off. We've gotten 2 good bouts of rain over the last month that has kind of chipped away at this drought, but we're going to stay dry here for the next 7 days, so hopefully that doesn't impact us too much. We are going to start to trend towards the wetter side once we get into this weekend and into the following week. So let me show you what that looks like on the European model here. Starting it out on Monday, we're going to be dry. There's going to be some showers off to our west, maybe out towards the St. Louis area, but it looks like they'll fade out before they ever reach us. So really not concerned with any rain here through the work week. It's not until we get towards the weekend. So once we get into Saturday night, mostly as we get into Sunday, we'll have this area of low pressure develop right along to our west, and that's going to track right over the tri-state and bring us better chances for some showers and thunderstorms. And then that will lift off to our north, possibly even lingering into the first part of the following week. Now, in terms of rainfall, This isn't going to capture that whole event, but it does put out some good amounts of rainfall. So anywhere between a half an inch, honestly, mostly looking like a 3/4 of an inch to maybe even pockets of 2 inches possible by the end of next weekend. Obviously, if that storm were to not shift at all and it were to stay the same, that's what we get. But I would take that with a grain of salt. Obviously, this is over a week away, so a lot is going to change with that weather pattern. And it looks like Zach already has a question. Are outbreaks of severe storms expected next weekend for Evansville? We're not expecting it, but it's not completely out of the realm of possibility. Again, it's way too far out to know if there's going to be any severe weather with it. As of right now, it just looks like it's going to be some rain, maybe some thunderstorms. But of course, we're going to keep an eye on it for you, and if anything changes, we'll let you know. It looks like Cheyenne is also saying good evening. Same thing with Jeanette. Good evening to you guys. Hillary is saying, hey, glad to have you back. Again, it was nice meeting you yesterday. But continuing on with the forecast, we're going to look at our temperature outlook as well for the next 6 to 10 days. That is going to remain above average. So looking at our temperatures here, our average highs typically sitting in the lower 70s, 72 degrees. We're going to be above that, well above that, especially through the start of next week, topping out nearly 80 by Tuesday, Monday, and maybe even on Wednesday too, before we cool back down into the mid 70s for the middle and end of next week. And then as that front approaches with that low pressure system, maybe seeing a little bit of a brief warm up through next weekend as that rain moves in, but then it should be cooler behind that system as well. So outside of the tri-state area, looking at our tropical tracker, we still have some active areas in the Pacific and in the Atlantic. So we'll start off in the Pacific. We now have these two dying storms here, Priscilla and Raymond, but their tropical moisture is actually going to get absorbed up into the overall flow pattern through the United States, and that is going to bring areas like the desert Southwest a lot of rainfall. They're actually at a very high risk for flooding in those areas, but that's not really going to be impacting us here in the tri-state. Now we also have some other tropical systems out in the Atlantic. We have Jerry that formed just a few days ago. It is actually now beginning to die off. This is kind of the last advisory they've issued for Jerry. Wind speeds are at around 45 miles per hour, probably just going to get absorbed by that nor'easter storm system that's going to be riding up and along the east coast. And then we have Karen as well, a very weird storm that had formed that far north. But, you know, weirder things have happened, but Karen also not really expected to have much of an impact or last much longer. So that is kind of the lay of the land in terms of the weather here in the tri-state and, of course, out in the tropics. But looking at your 7-day forecast, we've got plenty of sunshine here, at least through the start of next week. We may have a few more clouds linger on through the middle of next week, but it doesn't really look like any day is going to be a gray, cloudy day at all. And again, very little opportunity for rainfall up until we get into next weekend. That seems to be our best chance at anything in the next 7 days. But keep in mind, temperatures will be above average here through much of next week in the upper 70s, at least through Wednesday, before cooling down into the mid 70s on Thursday, and maybe even seeing a warm up back into the upper 70s by next weekend. So that is a look at your 7-day forecast. That's all I've got here for the stream. So I'm going to hop off the live stream now. But before I go, I'll check out if there are any other comments. Hillary said you too. It was great meeting you, but again, that is all I'm seeing here. So I'm going to hop off the live. I'll send you guys over to 14 News at 10 for all the latest news and weather headlines. Until then, everybody, stay safe and have a great rest of your night.